Welcome to episode 4 of Screenwriting on the Wall with your boys Zach, Josh, and Jacob. I realized I should finally introduce ourselves 4 episodes in to our names, because if you're just listening, you have no idea who we are.
Wait, have we never said our names in this
No,
podcast?
I don't think we've ever said our names. Well, we've called each other by names, but that doesn't help.
I think it's a good strategy. It keeps listeners hooked. They're like, wait, who are these people?
This is the end of the pilot.
Keep them guessed. This is the end of the pilot. It's all been one long cast, baby. But this episode, we are strictly talking about and laser focused in on the Guardians of the Galaxy franchise, and specifically the trailer that dropped for Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I'm going to immediately pivot to you two guys, because I know out of the 3 of us, y'all are the biggest Guardians fans. So I want some initial thoughts and reactions to just this news dropping, and your quick reaction to when you first watched the trailer.
I'll let Jacob go first. I think that he's probably the best on the subject here anyway.
So yeah, I thought the trailer was great. It's going the exact route, at least tonally, it looks like it is. It's going the exact route that I was hoping it would, where it's they're still keeping that sense of fun and comedy and whatnot, but they're going a little darker with it. You could tell, they're leaning into the fact that this is the last one, and that's what I was hoping they would do. So yeah, I'm really excited for it. I've always really loved the Guardians of the Galaxy compared to basically. Here's my hot take on Guardians in the MCU. The Guardians movies are the only MCU films that I would rate above an 8 out of 10. But that's just me. I know a lot of people disagree with me, but
I don't think that's a terribly hot take. I mean, it's a little bit of a hot take. I do think there's some really solid MCU movies that have nothing to do with the Guardians, but I don't think that that's a terrible take.
Yeah, I think the hottest part about it is just the limitation to saying that literally every other MCU movie that's come out is not going to crack that 8 threshold. That's the hardest part.
Okay, here's another hot take.
Well, it's also still I'm still thinking about it okay, from his perspective, it's okay, well, they're at least a 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
That's still pretty good.
But that's saying a lot for
that's
Infinity War and Endgame and the scale that they were on.
Well,
the original
I've got
Iron
another.
Man.
I've got another Guardians related hot.
Iron Man
take.
1 is definitely one of the.
Give it to us,
MCU.
Jacob.
I agree with you on the Iron Man part. But yeah, my other hot take is I think that the Guardians shouldn't really have crossed over with the Avengers. I actually think that their story would have been stronger if they had never crossed over and met the Avengers.
Whoa.
But that's just me personally.
Okay,
Whoa.
so funnily enough,
Get him, Josh.
I don't know how Jacob and I have never talked about this, but funnily enough, before Infinity War came out, I actually had the exact same thoughts. I don't know why exactly, but before Infinity War even came out, I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna like this, because I think it was just for me, James Gunn had developed this really unique style with the Guardians, and I really like all of his movies, and even the TV shows are the same basically.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it basically centers around a broken family, trying to love each other or something, But at the same time, it's him bringing that to the MCU. I wasn't really sure how those characters were gonna fit into a larger universe, because I feel like anytime there's a crossover that happens, it kind of feels like some of the characters break a little bit because they're adhering to somebody else's story. But at the same time, I do disagree with you.
Here's the thing. I think they did a solid job. I think they did as good as they could have done for crossing over the Guardians of the Avengers. I'm not saying they did a bad job at all. This is more of a personal taste thing, and I fully acknowledge that. It's whenever I go to rewatch something, I don't like the idea of jumping. Oh, we're gonna, I guess, spoilers for all the Guardians movies and all that, but
spoilers for literally anything MCU for this whole episode.
Right.
Spoilers for anything. If you've never seen all the movies, don't.
My thing is, I don't. This is totally a personal taste thing. I don't want to jump between Guardians 2 and Guardians 3, and like the whole status quo has changed. Like, I don't want to have to like sit through 2 Avengers movies, because then I'm like, oh well, if I want the full impact, now I've got to watch 90 other movies before this, and it's just like I just want to watch the Guardians, you know.
But that is fair, but I also don't know that you really have to at the same time. This is more
because me really just not loving cinematic universes that much. Like, I think they're fun and everything, but I've never been crazy about them. And I know I'm in a minority on that, and like I don't like to, like, I'm not gonna like trash talk them or anything. I think they have their merits and all that, but I've never loved the way that they're done necessarily. I sometimes think like individual character stories suffer a bit for the sake of the big crossovers. But I may be getting too off subject getting into that.
I mean, no. I do want to comment on that, though, and then we can jump into the trailer. But I think that there is kind of a difference here, too. At least I hope there will be, because obviously we haven't seen Volume 3 yet. But I think that there's some potential in areas like this for it to be done wrong. And what I mean by that is you take something like the Guardians, who have 2 straight, completely independent movies from everything else. And then, like you said, you have to watch these 2 Avengers movies now to get caught up on the plot before Volume 3. But at the same time, it's also not just like there's a slight status quo difference. Like, a lot has happened to this group due to Gamora's death, essentially. And I think that James Gunn, and this is what I meant by I think it could be done wrong, but I don't think he will do it wrong. I think that James Gunn easily could have just tried to dismiss a lot of that and try to get back on the reins of whatever his initial story was, and then finish it out the way that he probably initially had planned when he started the trilogy. And I'm not saying that it still won't try to go in that direction, but now there's this whole other layer to it. And I like when stories have those consequences, and I like when they're not just like those consequences happen and they're not just played off.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything that happened to the Guardians in the Avengers movies that wouldn't have been done better in a Solo movie, if that makes sense.
Well, yeah, because Solo is a Star Wars story.
I just don't know how you do that.
Yeah, like if the Guardians had crossed over with Han Solo.
Completely ignored that joke.
And Chewbacca had killed Gamora. That's what I think should have happened.
Oh, Lord. Well, in any case, let's go to the trailer. Y'all have been strong opinions about
I didn't mean to kick off a whole thing before we even got to the trailer.
Oh, you did. Well, let's just be thankful this isn't a Star Wars trailer we're talking about, or else we would have just been done for.
Okay, I'm not going to talk about Andor in this podcast. It's Guardians of the Galaxy. We'll talk about Andor later.
I still need to watch Andor. I need to watch
all I'll say is it's great. Phenomenal. It's the best Star Wars has been in a while.
Okay. We don't have to talk about it, but did you finish it?
I did. I loved it.
Okay, that's all I need to know. Press play.
Fight the Empire.
All right, so what we'll do, we're going to live watch it right now. We've all seen it once or twice, a couple times, but we're going to go through it just so it's fresh in our memory when we're talking about it.
I've gotten into double digits by now.
My Lord.
I'm probably close, maybe not quite that high.
I have control over the play pause button, so I'll play pause it when I want to say something. But if you guys, over the course of this watching it, want to chime in and say something, just tell me to pause it, and then we'll pause it and address what you want to address, and then we'll keep going.
I'm not confident.
I'm honestly just gonna probably be a little verbal as it plays and just talk over the actual.
Wow. Okay.
Trailer.
I am not confident this will go well.
I mean, that's commentary reaction.
You're gonna be proven wrong, buddy. So here we go.
Okay, press pause.
Okay, I pressed pause. They were gone for quite a while.
I can't hear anything.
I couldn't hear that either. But the thing is, I could probably say all the lines that are in this trailer. Screen.
Oh.
Okay, yeah, let's just have Jacob narrate it. Hold up. No. This is better. Start it over. Jacob, you're narrating.
Okay, I'll do it.
Narrating the trailer.
Here we go. From the logo.
Lord. Wait. Pause it.
Oh, God.
Okay, do we want me to just say the dialogue, or since this is an audio medium?
Describe it like it's an audio book.
I want you to hum the music too.
Okay, I'm not going to do the music, but I'll try to do the dialogue while also describing everything that's happening.
Okay.
Oh my lord. Okay.
Okay. Do
one,
that.
one more time again from the top.
So we open on the Marvel Studios logo. You can tell it's on the dashboard of Peter Quill's ship. We see Peter Quill standing in the ship. Says, "We've been gone for quite a while." You see a ship flying through a city. It looks like an Earth city, but it's actually not an Earth city. It lands, and Peter says, "The universe still needs its guardians." And you see a bunch of animal-looking dudes dressed up in suits and stuff. And this little girl drops a ball. Drax picks it up and throws it at her face. They're all shocked. There's lag. Drax is laughing. He gets hit by. They're being pelted by rocks. I can hear it now.
You gotta keep going.
Keep going.
You baby Rocket Raccoon. Don't forget where we came from. Now they're wearing spacesuits that are actually a reference to 2001: A Space Odyssey. James Gunn said on his Twitter. Now they're carrying. Rocket says, "Quill, I'm done running," and he cocks his gun. Then the music kicks in, and now I don't know what that is. There's a bunch of quick shots. There's Gamora, but not the regular Gamora. It's the alternate timeline Gamora. Spaceship, more spacesuits. Time to face the music. We'll all fly away together. Rocket doesn't look so good. Quill and Groot are running from something. There's a concert. Quill is screaming. Rocket is hugging an otter. The gold member. We are Groot. And then there's the title. And then there's an after credits joke. That was really hard.
That was impressive, Jacob, I have to say.
I'm not going to lie. After I actually started to be able to hear the music, I could not hear anything Jacob said.
Me neither. The whole trailer, I couldn't hear anything.
I thought I could do the dialogue and the images, but I couldn't do either.
Stand a chance. You'd have to be an auctioneer to talk that fast.
My grandpa was an auctioneer.
Okay, so I got the volume sorted out for our.
You gotta play the music under that though while he does it.
Yeah, all the music. Okay, so what are we thinking about this trailer? One, okay, we've got this ship here. So in game, right, their ship gets destroyed, correct?
Okay, so that actually is something that Jacob and I have talked about, because I didn't realize until the holiday special somehow that actually in Volume 2, they leave their ship on that planet.
The Milano.
Yeah.
And then I guess what Zach was saying, the Benatar, the second ship, it gets destroyed in Endgame. I forgot about that. Because I've only seen Endgame like one time.
I didn't even know they changed ships between 2 and Endgame.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord. So then
it technically gets destroyed in every movie. It just gets the Milano is what you have in Guardians 1, and it gets repaired by the Nova Corps at the end of Volume 1
by John C. Reilly.
Yes. And in Volume 2, they crash it onto that planet, and Gamora says the line like, "Oh, if you had flown with what's between your head or your ears instead of what's between your legs, either one of you could have landed the ship." Whatever she says, I don't know.
Toxic masculinity.
Yeah, basically. But anyway, they crash it there, and Rocket gets abducted by the Ravagers. So they just never go back for it. It just stays there. I guess that's the lore as far as I know.
So now they got this
for some reason, even throughout both Avengers movies, I did not realize it until they mentioned the ship in the holiday special, and I go, "That's not the Milano."
So they got a new ship. They're going to some planet. Okay.
I really like the look of all these weird looking animal people things.
Yeah, so let me get to there's a good screen frame for us. Now, okay, these little uniforms that they have on in this scene, so are these like Nova? Is that little Nova insignia on them?
So apparently it may be, but apparently those are the costumes they wear in the comics. I have
so this is kind of like a little bone throw to the comic book readers. Yeah, because then we got, so now when you were doing your description, Jacob, you said something that I wasn't aware of. Which was alternate timeline Gamora. Mm-hmm. Is that confirmed? Is that confirmed?
Yeah, because
yes.
Remember at the end of
well, yeah, because that was a question I was going to ask. I was
is
pretty sure I remembered Gamora dying, but not
that is
snapping.
2014 Gamora. That has been confirmed.
2014 Gamora?
Yes.
And I've never been a big fan of like a character like this done in sci-fi a lot. Like when a character dies, but it's like, oh, here's that character from another reality. But I think James Gunn will do it justice. But it's just that's not a favorite trope of mine, personally.
Again, I think he will too, and I have faith in just the fact that I just don't think he's going to dismiss that. You know, I don't think he's going to do like a plot line where it's like, oh, okay, Peter's like, okay, you're not my Gamora, but I still love you, and she's like, okay, I want to be with you again, and then it's just resolved, you know, or something stupid. Like, I don't even know if that necessarily will be resolved.
In this one, Gamora gets with Drax.
Dang, plot twist. So what are the theories about the Animal Planet then that you guys have? What insider information
I
do y'all
genuinely
have?
So I don't really have that much information. Again, I don't know if that's something from like a species or a planet from the comics that I don't know about, because I don't really read Guardians comics. But I honestly think it's kind of meaningless, and the reason that I say that is based off of the line that Peter says as well, like, you know, world still needs its guardians or whatever. So I think it's genuinely just like kind of probably very early in the movie, them trying to get back to saving people, and especially based off of the reaction after, you know, Drax pelts the kid with the ball. It's probably just, yeah, they're not very good at this. They haven't done it in a while.
Huh.
Or something.
Well, do you think it has any connection to old Rocket's backstory with him being a anthropomorphized raccoon?
Huh.
Or
you know what?
like a human raccoon?
It
I
could,
hadn't thought of that, actually. It just, I don't know.
Well,
I know
Guardians,
that
it could be either way very easily, or a little bit of both very easily.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think so, though. Based on what little knowledge I do have of Rocket's backstory, you know, he was basically an experiment, and I don't think that, like, animal people are the ones that were conducting experiments on him.
Well, it could be someone conducting experiments on, like, someone from off this planet that came to this planet and conducted.
I don't know. They also just seem like different in a way. Like Rocket is an actual raccoon. These look like people with animal faces.
Did anyone else, when the trailer opened up, did they think that they were going to Earth at the beginning? So that was my first thought.
This is essentially
okay. Go back.
This is essentially Zootopia.
I thought they were going to Earth because, like, here's my thing.
That's the Statue of Liberty right there.
Those two shots together at all.
That's the Statue of Liberty right there.
Oh, maybe they're doing like a Planet of the Apes thing.
Yeah, but it's animal.
It's like an animal.
It's animal
version.
Earth. That's really a statue.
That's
of,
that very well could still be.
That's
Earth.
Giselle from Zootopia.
I've had a theory for a long time that the last Guardians, like at some point, it's gonna have Star-Lord going to Earth because he still has a grandpa that's alive, like you see him in the first scene of the first movie, and I think at some point. Maybe toward the end of this movie, I think he's going to go to Earth, and there's going to be some kind of, like, really emotional scene of some kind. Like, maybe he goes to his mom's grave or something. I don't know. But
I don't think his grandpa's still alive.
He was alive in Volume 2.
How do you know that?
He was in the scene where, you know, that Blue... When Ego was... releasing
by the Dairy Queen.
Yeah, he was in a car driving away. James Gunn has confirmed that.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I wonder if that's like.
I feel like he wouldn't have kept him.
Lore,
I feel like he wouldn't have kept him alive if there wasn't like some sort of
it could have just
payoff
been
he
like
wanted to
a
have.
cameo. I don't think anybody would have noticed that on their own.
If it weren't James Gunn, I would
agree
with that. But
well, anyway, so
I don't know.
I could see him
totally
going back and like. I like the idea of him visiting his mom's grave or something. I could see him doing that, but like, there's no storyline with him and his grandpa. You know, I mean,
I'm
maybe,
just saying what I've heard. Like, it could happen. I'm not saying it will.
Josh, keyword yet. So then we get to the second chunk of this trailer, which is post saying it's from director James Gunn. Listening to music, Mantis. So then the little raccoon, the little Rocket scene happens. Okay, so we can talk about Rocket with this little scene. So they do address, like, we're going to get some of Rocket's backstory with this. And
something else that Jacob and I have discussed before is that I think we both share the same opinion that despite the fact that Peter Quill is very much painted as the main protagonist.
It's Rocket.
And like, yeah, I think we're both on the same page, and maybe you too, Zach, that like Rocket is kind of more of the like kind of hidden protagonist.
Rocket's actually the main character.
Well, I mean, I kind of feel that way in a lot of ways.
James Gunn has said multiple times that apparently Rocket is the character that he himself relates the most to. So I feel like that plays a big part in it.
Like, I don't think it's like an obvious main protagonist, and like arguably it's kind of like a group thing anyway. But
yeah.
Peter is definitely painted as more of the central character in that group. And I feel like there's this whole, I mean, maybe it's just because there's a bigger storyline going on with his character throughout the first two films that is obviously going to get brought to light in this one.
Well, it's like a R2-D2
like especially at the end of, yeah, kind of, but also no, because like at the take for example the end of Guardians 2, which is one of my favorite endings of a movie. Period.
We've talked about it.
But like, yeah, like just the ending shot with Rocket's face and everything, and the whole kind of arc with Yondu, it feels almost like a main character story arc, and yet there's this whole other thing going on with Peter's dad that it feels like it gets overshadowed by.
Yeah, if Quill is the protagonist, then Rocket is the deuteragonist. I don't think I said that right, but
what?
That is a word.
I don't know,
that is a word.
agonist.
Wow.
But also, like, I mean, when you think of Guardians of the Galaxy, I feel like you kind of think of Rocket. Like when you think, well, what sets us apart?
Rocket and Groot.
That's the movie with the talking raccoon with the gun. You know. Yeah, I don't know. I think he's just kind of, in a way, he's kind of the face of this whole little franchise.
Well, and he's he's gone through a lot, and Josh was touching on it too, as well as like you have the character arcs for the group, and you had Gamora's going, and then I guess they'll kind of continue it, but Gamora is kind of whatever she is now, but like she got
Russo'd.
Yeah, Peter has had a very stereotypical, I think, like Western hero arc. He has his first movie, then he has his second one with his dad, and like whatever. But I think Rocket, I like what you guys are saying. It's gotten a lot more of James Gunn's personal storytelling arc treatment throughout the whole thing. Because from the start, he's just a money-hungry, like scavenger, bounty hunter-ish character with his muscle in Groot. And
like James Gunn specializes in these jerks that like have a heart of gold to them. I don't know if I know you've seen it, Josh, but have you seen Peacemaker, Zach?
No.
I feel like that character's whole arc kind of just sums up James Gunn's writing style perfectly.
Yeah. Yeah. So you got Rocket. So we're obviously going to get a conclusion or something to Rocket's story. I liked your 2001: A Space Odyssey catch, Jacob.
I can't take I didn't
James
catch
Gunn's
that myself. Yeah, I saw it on Twitter because somebody thought they were Among Us spacesuits.
Massive space butthole intestines. Okay, so now you got alternate timeline Gamora, right? That's what is confirmed. So then what do we think all this is? Because this immediately follows... Well, so this immediately follows your shot of Gamora, which I think is initially supposed to be like, what? And then you have this shot of all the group together and someone carrying or Nebula carrying somebody.
Quill, by the way.
Yeah, and there's no Quill. There's
Quill's
the space dog from the first
Quill's
Guardians.
The one being carried.
Is that Quill?
Is he?
Yeah.
It doesn't really look like him.
I didn't even catch that.
They have a closer shot.
Freaking stonky Groot. Oh yeah, right there. That is. I guess that is Quill.
I don't know how I mean I don't know how I missed that, but
they're all very chill for carrying Quill. Like Rocket's drinking a freaking milk.
For all we know, like this is a dramatic shot, but for all we know, maybe Quill just like he was depressed because of Gamora got out and like drank himself till he passed out. And
okay, so Zach hasn't seen the holiday special, right? So
yeah,
for some
the holiday
context
special,
there, that does kind of make sense. It does look like they're on Nowhere, and in the holiday special, we do find out that the Guardians have bought Nowhere,
and we meet
they
Cosmo.
Bought Nowhere.
And we meet Cosmo the space dog.
And then this is the Ravager, right, that took over for Yondu.
Yes, that's Kraglin.
Kraglin, cool.
Kraglin's underrated.
Really is.
And we got Mantis still, Drax.
Then we got Soul Groot.
Yep, thick Groot. So, Guardian stuff. I mean, that's just a good trailer line. I don't think there's much to digest there.
And then one of the best lines in the MCU, period.
I'm done running.
No, what he's about to say.
The fly away together into the
yeah.
forever.
So what do we think this is?
I don't know.
Just for reference, if you can't see what I'm talking about, it's the giant space intestines butthole thing that's in the trailer.
I'm going to be totally honest. This looks like some weird Cronenberg machine thing.
Yeah.
Something straight out of Rick and Morty.
So here's one of my theories. I could be totally off base. But when they're jumping around in those space suits, I think there's another shot of it later.
Yeah.
The background looks kind of similar to the intestine stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I
think so too.
maybe they like shrink themselves down and go inside somebody or something. I don't know.
Oh Lord, do you think?
That would be
That'd
crazy.
be weird.
Because I see that, and my first thought is that they're
they stole some
inside
Pym
somebody.
particles.
It could be if they want to connect it to the whole MCU more. I mean,
yeah, I don't know. That's weird looking.
like Rocket could be like, yeah, I stole Ant-Man's thing or something. I don't know. I stole Ant-Man's.
So Ant-Man 3 does
suit.
come out before this.
Yeah.
I really doubt there's going to be some
Quantumania.
kind of connection. But with Kang being the overall, overarching villain for this next little part of the saga,
So
I
now,
do think there could be.
speaking of villains, this is assuming our villain for Guardians 3. And is he from an earlier Guardians movie? He looks really familiar to my brain.
So I think he is the person who created Rocket, if what I've heard is correct.
Oh, so that's how this is all going to come to an end, huh? So, I guess that'll wrap up his, and then he's got that woman running on a treadmill. I muted the volume, by the way. It's nothing with y'all's computer.
Yeah.
So then, Drax has been shot.
Yeah,
But Gamora's here. So is this alternate timeline stuff?
You could see more of those fleshy people.
Yeah, it looks kind of ego-y, honestly.
It also this is weird. It almost seems like a culmination of the first two films, because I agree with you, Zach. It looks ego-y. It looks like his little weird ship thing.
Yeah.
And it also looks like they're in a prison. If you want to throw back to the first movie. So
we have 4.5 minutes left of this podcast that we got a little late start on from technical stuff. But I'm going to try to connect a lot of pieces really quick right here. Do we possibly think that the intestine butthole thing, do we think that that's earlier in the movie, like when they're trying to do their, every world needs its guardian stuff? They go through it, and that's how they get to all the different timeline stuffs. And like what you said, Josh, this is like them trying to escape, and it is a weird amalgamation of the Guardians timelines with a prison break from Ego's planet with the OG group, and they have to, do all their stuff to get out as part of like almost the semi-finale before we get to like Rocket's wrap up or something. Or like this is the mid-movie climax piece.
I don't know. I don't want to shut anything down for sure, but that does feel like a reach at the same time. Like
when it happens, y'all owe me.
Here's my theory. I think
blow my mind.
I think while they're in the intestine stuff, Rocket is being held captive by whoever this one dude is, because
he's not in the spacesuit.
You don't see him in any of those shots.
Ooh, no. Jacob, you are on to something, man. We're cracking the code right here. James Gunn's getting nervous. Because there is all this stuff that happens.
Okay, yeah, we see more of it.
Yep. And I think this is what the majority of the second half of the movie is going to be.
And Rocket does look very rough in this shot.
Okay, yeah, so I'm gonna go into theories on that too. I'm almost certain that Rocket is going to die in this movie. I think that's the death. Because I originally already thought someone was going to die. I think it's going to be Rocket. 100%.
So sad. And
it's
then
very possible, but I almost think it's too obvious in a way.
This is that same guy from earlier, it looks like, from this freeze frame. So this has got to be like the final action here.
And it could be more than one person too.
Yeah.
Rocket seriously seems like a goner.
Big ship crash.
What if everyone's a goner?
Why is the ship crashing without the boys on it, What's going on? Crazy stuff. Nebula goes to Bonnaroo. Bad guy.
Yeah, what is going on with Quill there?
So I think this has got to be, if Rocket dies, this is when it happens.
This looks like a laboratory or something, and yes, like that's
Like,
that part played into my thinking of Rocket's death as well.
It almost
this
looks
feels
like he
this could be where it
himself is
happens.
being experimented on here.
Oh yeah, I guess he could get captured, trying to save Rocket, and so he starts doing
Like
it to
maybe
Quill.
he's like, oh, you're part.
Because he did hold an Infinity Stone, so he's kind of
he's
weird.
part Titan or whatever it was, Celestial. That's what it was.
Well, not anymore.
Well,
That's a
the
good
guy
point.
may not know that.
We also see Lila here for the first time.
Oh, is this the otter? Is Lila the otter?
Yes.
What's the story there?
As I don't really know that much about it. Again, just I know it's Rocket's love interest. So
And that monster in the next shot, that's the
from
monster
2,
from the
right?
opening of Guardians 2.
yeah,
And that's
there
Gamora.
there may be some, like, maybe not like straight up timeline stuff, but there may be a lot of references to the first two in this
Yeah.
one, just for
Could be.
kind of.
could be.
And they're in their
or-
OG
No, that's
Guardians
too much.
uniforms. They're in their actual
The movies are
Guardians
too close
uniforms.
together, but I started to think with Ant-Man coming out first, and that being a large way that time is messed with apparently in MCU.
Yeah.
It could just be like we're gonna get even more plot before this movie comes out.
Well, we're down to less than a minute now, so how do
Yeah,
we want to
but
wrap this whole
we're on the
thing
last
up?
scene, Like, there's just like a funny bit, I think, there at the end where Drax
get
is
to
asking
see
to kill people. Just
Adam.
one sorry soul. And then we get the final shot. So,
Will Poulter's Adam Warlock.
yeah, I think that's what pretty much everyone agrees on. This is going to be Adam Warlock, because I think a lot of people thought he was going to come out in Volume 2.
I don't know anything
With-
about Adam Warlock.
You don't know anything about? I know about Adam Warlock. I know because I was reading the lore and stuff for Guardians 2. So we think this is who he's going to be. How do we think he's going to work in? Josh, quick. How's
Well, I
it going
mean,
to
we
go?
know that that's Adam.
But how's he going to work into the story?
I don't know.
I don't know yet.